Stephanie, all of these places, we're showing an image of you and Melania there, the Colonnade, all of these places that are gone now are places where you spent your waking hours. And you hear Tom Foreman talking about how Trump has wanted a ballroom at the White House for a long time. And you actually can talk to this personally. You say this is something that came up when you worked for him?
Absolutely. Good to see you, by the way. It's been a while.
Yes, you too.
Absolutely. In our first term, he wanted a bigger space. The state dining room and the East room were, in his opinion, big enough. And I tended to agree with him. We needed more space for some of our functions. In fact, I remember when we had the Australian state dinner outside in the Rose Garden, our social secretary at the time actually put the band on the roof of the White House because we were so cramped for space. So when I first heard of this idea, it made sense to me. And I thought, this is going to be great. I figured it would be somewhere on the grounds. I certainly didn't expect it to be demolished like a condemned house over 3 days or so.
Yeah, I mean, and perhaps that's part of it, right? There is a practicality in wanting more space to entertain. And I've heard people make real cases for that. But this is something that is going to be, huge, as one of the former White House historians was saying, that would make the White House itself look like a small annex. And in that context, Stephanie, you spent years working out of the East Wing. As I said, you went there every day. Here's a photo of you working there at your desk, view from your office, look down onto Barron's soccer goal, Trump's son, who was living there at the time. And we've got that image of you walking on the Colonnade with the First Lady Melania Trump. That is gone. As of today, that is gone. It's rubble. What goes through your mind? I don't know if you heard Michael Smerconish, and he was walking outside today just to get a sense. He is somebody who sees a practicality in some more ballroom space. But when he saw it, the gasp, right? I mean, what's your emotional reaction?
I mean, as somebody who was obviously so privileged to work in the people's house, I worked on both sides, the East Wing and the West Wing. It is jarring and it breaks my heart. It's something that can never be put back. And I wish they would have gone about it in a better way. In fact, I noticed on the website that you pulled up, they're showing that Mrs. Trump redid the tennis pavilion, and she did do that in my time there. And the difference is she followed the rules. She went through the planning commission. She took every step needed to keep the historical elements preserved. And so I think that's the big difference here. And I can't help wonder, what she thinks of how all of this is taking place, because the visuals are they're jarring. And I've even noticed that there's been an American flag, in the background of all this rubble. And it's just hard to see just as a citizen.
Well, it certainly is, especially in a context of so much